Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you surely know that this is my series in which I use tarot and oracle cards to help me explore topics related to living the intentional life. And speaking of the intentional life, I recently had the honor, the privilege, the joy of being invited onto the channel of one of my dear friends. Her channel name is Little Zen Crone, and we did about an hour or more of a discussion about what intentional life means to us and our tarot practice and a couple of other side topics. And if you have not seen that, you very well might not have, I'm going to put a card up here for you to hop on over and take a look at that video. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. She's a beautiful, beautiful creator. She's a Zen priest. And I highly recommend going and watching that video and then coming back. And I also suggest subscribing to her channel. She has got a great channel and she has some sage advice. She has some Zen crone advice and information and heart to share with all of us. She's just a beautiful, beautiful person. And so, that's the plug. Take a look at her channel and take a look at that video. Now, here we are. We're about to take a look at this Tree of Life spread. And before we do, I'd like to talk about something just briefly. We've all seen people who have been negative, who have behaved negatively, who have perhaps been hurtful or destructive to some extent. And perhaps we've heard other people explain it away by saying that they're just having a hard time. They just broke up with their significant other, or they just lost a job, or they lost a loved one, or maybe they were trying so hard to succeed at something and it just hasn't worked out, or maybe they failed at some important test. They've had a hard time and that's why they're behaving this way. Perhaps we're the ones who've been behaving badly because we've been having a hard time because of one of those or many other possible difficult times in our lives. And we want to understand that. We want to have empathy for others and for ourselves for when we're going through hard times, and sometimes we lash out or we are reactive. But have you ever noticed? Have you ever seen? Have you ever experienced that sometimes, just sometimes, in the middle of our success, that nasty little reactive monster crawls out of the pit of our shadow and makes an appearance? Maybe we just gotten some wonderful thing, or we met some wonderful person, and in the middle of that pleasure or that feeling of success, the little monster crawls out and we lash out at something or someone or a group of people. Have you ever seen that in other people? Have you noticed it in yourself? It's possible. And it may be less uncommon than we think. We go into our unconscious mode of behavior and the monster comes out. So I think that's what this week's Tarot and Oracle spread is pointing us towards. And we'll talk through this in just a moment. Now, if you are new to this channel, this is a two-part video. This is part one right now. And in part one, we're going to look at the Tree of Life spread. We'll also look at it in part two. But in part one, what we do is I'll show you the whole spread, and then we'll talk about it just really briefly. And then we'll start breaking it down into parts. We'll look at the first upward pointing triangle, the supernal triangle, and then we'll look at the first downward pointing triangle, the ethical triangle or the emotional triangle. And then we'll stop this video and we'll move on to part two. And in part two, we'll look at the second downward pointing triangle, which is the etheric triangle or the psychological triangle. And then we'll read the whole spread in three different ways. the mother pillar, the father pillar, and the lightning path coming down from Kether to Malkut. Okay, so this is going to be my spread that I developed from the tree of life, from the Kabbalistic tree of life. Let me show you the spread right now. I think this is a beautiful spread. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now friends, like I said, this is a two-part video. This takes a bit of time, and if you want to watch the video in bits, that's okay. Yeah, you can stop the video and come back to it later. Yeah, you know how to do that on YouTube, right? You can do that. So if you want to watch it in bits, that's absolutely okay. Well, this spread is beautiful, and I'm sorry to be seeing it go. This is the last time I'm going to be using the Tree of Life spread for a while. The new moon is coming. I'll switch out my decks, and I'm going to switch over to a new spread that I've developed. So, just a little bit of forewarning. Now, these decks in this spread are gorgeous, don't you think? If you want to know who the creators are and what the names of the decks are, there's going to be a short video at the end of this video that gives you that information. Yeah? There will also be links in the description box below if you want to check out these decks on your own and perhaps purchase one or some of them. One of these decks is very out of print. I'm very sorry to say that, but the other three are in print, readily available. Two of them are mass market. One of them is independently produced, but even the independent deck is not all that expensive. It's not like an US $80 or $100 deck. It's a fairly reasonably priced independent deck, and it's gorgeous. So go check them out. And just in case you've never seen a spread like this, I'll put a card up here that will take you to a video that explains this spread. I do a walkthrough of the spread and its parts, and then I do a sample reading using just one deck. If you want to see that and come back, that's also a good thing. You can take advantage of that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move right on into the supernal triangle. The topmost upper pointing triangle. Here it is. That was the upper pointing triangle, the supernal triangle. And you saw that at the very top in Kether, we had the Three of Wands upright. When I saw that card, I was, finally, we got a little bit of a breakthrough. But then in Chokmah, we had the Hermit reversed. And then in Binah, we had the King of Discs reversed. And then I thought, oh. Why did I think, oh? Well, I'll tell you in just a bit. We'll get there. So that's the order that we're going to be reading these cards. We'll read from Kether to Chokmah to Binah. And Kether, what is Kether? Kether is the crown of the Tree of Life. Yeah, the head. It's the part of the Tree of Life that we as human manifesting beings cannot grasp, cannot understand. It's above our human brain's ability to comprehend. Now, the eternal natures that we are, having these human experiences, those eternal natures can get it, can understand it, because our eternal nature is part of all of that. Well, so are we. But the human expressed mind is limited, in a sense, because we're so excited and intrigued and delighted by this physical reality that we call the universe. So we deliberately focus our minds into this physical reality, and so we don't lose, but we disassociate from the fullness of our capability to comprehend the non-physical experience of our eternal natures. So our eternal nature can get it, but we really can't get what this Kether thing is. However, there is content in Kether. Now, it's the arousal of desire to move into manifestation. It's the potential for content. It's the itch that gives us the desire to be able to begin moving into manifestation, if that makes sense. And that's what Kether is. And in that spot, we had the Three of Wands. Yes, that is upright. The Three of Wands. A beautifully drawn card. You see this tree, beautiful, lush tree, right? Full of life and vitality. We have the three-headed snake wrapped around the tree, perhaps a hydra, a three-headed hydra. And we have the three wands off on, I think it's this side? Nope, it's this side. On this side, we have the three wands standing upright. And we see at the bottom that this is this is Jupiter in Aries. Now we have Aries ruled by Jupiter. What does that mean? Well, it means that this card points to the Sagittarius decanate of Aries and its subruler Jupiter, from which the mutable aspects of cardinal fire's vital attributes enter our world. Now, what does that mean? I've mentioned this before, but just in case this is your first time here and you're not too certain about these astrological associations, especially from the continental tarot tradition, these are different associations than you would perhaps see in a Waite-Smith deck or a Thoth deck. Now, here we have the Sagittarius decanate of Aries. Each of the zodiacal signs has 3 decanates of 10 degrees. The first decanate would be Aries, the Aries decanate of Aries. The second would be the Leo decanate of Aries. And the third is the Sagittarius decanate of Aries. We can think of them as each one of the zodiacal matching element signs has a house in each one of the signs. So Leo has rooms for itself and for Aries and Sagittarius. Sagittarius has a room for itself and for Leo and Aries. So also Aries has a room for its partners, the Sagittarius and Leo. So we're in the third decanate here. And because we're in the third decanate, which is the mutable aspect of cardinal fire, cardinal fire Aries, mutable fire is Sagittarius. So we have Jupiter beaming through the Sagittarius room of Aries into our lives, into our natal charts, into the world, into the question we're asking of the tarot. And because it's an upright third decanate, we also have an exaltation. The exaltation here is Mars in Capricorn. And you might think that, wow, that shouldn't match very well. Mars, fire, very active fire, and Capricorn, very, very slow-paced earth, right? But they work well pretty together. This is an exaltation, not a detriment, not a fall. So, we'll get to that in just a moment. Now, if you noticed, I don't know if you noticed this, but at the very, very top of this card, there is some Latin. Yeah? What does the Latin say? Let me read it to you. It says, Virtus unita fortiar. It means virtues united are stronger. So we can think of these 3 heads of the Hydra as being virtues united, making it stronger, right? So what does this point to? The 3 of Wands in this deck points to teamwork with a clear mission. Yeah, these 3 heads are moving together towards the same goal. Confidence. This is a card for confidence to command the future, to manifest the desires. It's a beginning of a venture. It's not the conclusion yet. It's not the end. But we gather together to move in the direction that we want to go, and because we have this Aries Sagittarian energy of pointing forward, cardinal and mutable, pointing forward, we're moving in the direction we want to go. There might also be a desire for adventure. Yeah, Sagittarius is actually one of the signs that wants to be out in front of everybody else. Not in front like a Leo wants to be in front, like a showman or show person, a show woman, a show non-binary person, but the front runner, the one who pushes the boundaries and explores the new territories. That's what Sagittarius likes to do. So there's that desire for adventure here. Now, it can look like foolhardiness from the outside. So teamwork will be emphasized here. So yeah, the Sagittarian wants to be out in front, but having the team up with the Sagittarian, supporting them, will benefit all involved. Does that make sense? And that's what this card is pointing towards. And that sense of empowerment that we can get perhaps from the team, but also from our Sagittarian fire. We all have Sagittarian fire within us. We have the entire zodiac within us, whether we take advantage of it or not. Now, that Sagittarian fire also empowers us to lead to our self-healing and to our self-motivation, right? And we've got Jupiter here as well. Yeah? Jupiter's influence gives us luck, gives us fortune and breakthroughs. So we can raise our sights above our self-centered tendencies and do what needs doing with Jupiter in our corner. So we've got all of that playing here in addition to Mars in Capricorn. What is Mars in Capricorn going to give us in this mix? It's going to give us the harbinger of victories. Yeah, that hornblower of success is a-coming. Hope for Capricorn's upward mobility is given here, with Mars putting a little bit of that newbie fire of knowledge of our success. Mars in Aries is the one that comes fresh out of the gate and is full of that youthful confidence and vigor and vitality, and that adds zest and excitement to Capricorn's desire to move up the mountain of success. Right? And that is also pointed to in this card. We have teamwork, we have motion towards success, we have luck, we have some healing, we have support from our teammates. Some wonderful aspects in this Three of Wands card. And so that's why when it came out in the first spot, I thought, finally, we're going to break out of our cave. Because for the last few weeks, we've been given the advice to shelter in place, stay where we are, meditate. What can we discover while we meditate? I mean, it's not all careful, be careful, but when we are sheltering in place, there are some things that we can do that can help us to be ready for moving forward into the world, for taking better advantage of our powerful current of intention. And so finally, we've broken out here in this Three of Wands, yeah? Time to come out of the cave. Time to move out into the world with our teammates, with our peeps. Sounds wonderful, right? But then the very next card in Hokmah is what? Well, first, what is Hokmah? Hokmah is the first movement into the path of manifestation. But it's still boundless. Now, it's still ethereal. It's an impulse of creation. Now, we had the potential for the desire to create in Kether, the crown. Here we have the impulse of creation, but it's still just an impulse. There's no form to it. It's like think of it like a fog, not a thick fog, a very light fog that you can't get a hold of it, you can't grab it by any means. You can discern it, you can perceive it, but just barely. That is what Hokmah is to me. It's intuitive insight of the soul, not the intuitive insight of the frontal lobe of the brain that pulls information out of the subconscious, but rather the intuitive insight of the soul, still unable to be grasped. That is this card. It's also wisdom. Now, it's the first entrance of wisdom into the tree of life. The top of the pillar of mercy as well. This is the top of the yang energy, the all-father energy of the tree of life. Hokmah. And in Hokmah, we got the hermit reversed. And what is this hermit card? Well, let me show it to you upright. Yeah, beautiful card. You see this gorgeous hermit in the gorgeous robes holding a staff. We see the sun beaming down from above, right behind the hermit's head, kind of like a halo. with the divine eye in there. We see a bird glowing its radiant spiritual energy right above the hermit. The hermit is holding the sun instead of a lantern. Well, how powerful is that? Holding an emblem of the sun, holding that powerful life force, and the hermit is holding that sun because if you look at the bottom, the hermit points to Leo, which is the domicile of the sun, from which these fixed fires, vital attributes enter our world. Leonine energy is bursting into the major arcana here in the hermit card in this system. It's a beautiful card, right? We got the dragon curled up at the foot of the hermit, reminding me a little bit of the dragon that's curled around the feet of the page of discs in this deck. Love this card. And because it's the hermit, it is the 9th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is Tet. And Tet is the letter for new life. It's a letter of a serpent as well. It's a letter of a spinning wheel. Possibly, the possibilities of good and evil are here in this card. Yeah? We also have the 9th rune of Hargaz, which is kind of almost the opposite. Maybe not. Maybe not. No, it's not really an opposite. But Hargaz is the rune of hail. You know, that ice coming down from the sky, hail, which gives us challenges, right? Perhaps destruction, perhaps drastic change. Yeah, and perhaps something that we need to take shelter from, which gives us a little bit of an echo of the last few weeks, echoing back through that rune in this card. Perhaps there's some clarification that can be developed with Helgaz as well. Forces of nature and the unconscious are revealed. And so maybe there's some clarification that we can get in the midst of that deluge of ice from above. So these are pointing to some very interesting things as we turn the card upside down. So here, the serpent is now, that was at the hermit's feet, is now above. And that serpent symbolizes our collective, not quite tamed human instincts. And that not quite tamed human instinct is now up above our heads. So reversed, this card can represent a constraint. A constant undertow. The undertow of fears and reactivity. It's buffering human civilization with subconscious and regressive pressure. Have you noticed any of that in your vicinity socially these days? We get a lot of this hermit reversed, these hermit reversed attributes appear around us a lot these days in society. Yeah? From everything from, and I'm just going to show my political leanings, from everything from the previous President of the United States to a previous Prime Minister of Great Britain to a lot of the very destructive, divisive people in the very vocal parts of society that are trying to sow fear and division and hyper-conservatism and hyper-racial divisiveness. All of that stuff has become very, very potent. And this card reverse seems to indicate that. But I don't think that's what it's really pointing to right here and right now. Right? It can also be an element that's ready to drag us down into our fears and our phobias whenever we are stressed. And so maybe you're thinking, well, why is this following this? Why would this card be the wisdom that flows from this card? Why do those fears and phobias and the not tamed human instincts, why are those following success and adventure and harbingers of victories? Those successful times can also be stressful times. Have you noticed that? Sometimes great success carries with it great stress. And sometimes even that successful flavor of stress can bring out the, where are you? That hydra, that monster from below. We can become overtaxed by success as well, and also reactive. Now, our fears of losing the success, our fears of not being up to the success, our fears of not being adequate to the challenge of our success, all of those things can cause the reactive mind to send forth the kraken from time to time. Not constantly, but from time to time. Have you noticed that in yourself? Have you noticed it in other people? That's what I think this is pointing us towards. That, yes, success, but be careful. Success, very active success, can be stressful, and that stress can be an opportunity to open the doors to that creature from below. And a form that that creature from below can take may be what comes into our understanding in Binah. And Binah, which is understanding, the understanding that flows from wisdom. It's the, Binah receives the energy from Hokmah like a womb. It gives a container to that desire for creation. It gives a container for that. And it gives shape. Still nothing that we can hold on to. It's not physical manifestation yet, but there's a container for it, so we can perceive it more clearly. We can get some understanding of it. And in that womb of creation, because guess what? This is the top of the mother pillar. This is the top of the all-mother. This is also the top of the pillar where Sophia moves down into creation. Now, the feminine divine, the feminine aspect of the divine, moves into and does the work of creation. Here on the mother pillar, with, interestingly, also being very receptive. Whereas Hokmah is the yin energy, this is the or yang energy, receptive. So it takes in that energy from yin and it moves into creation, like a womb receiving the energy from the male and then moving into a different kind of creation, right? It makes sense. And in that womb, that energy doesn't just sit there like a lump. It bounces around, it bounces off the walls. It bounces off the walls, yeah, it bounces off the walls and increases in energy and increases in diversity. Like an embryo, not an embryo, a fertilized egg will start dividing and dividing and dividing, and then diversity happens. And then it starts becoming an embryo, right? That's what's happening here in wisdom. Yeah? And in that spot for that wisdom, for Binah, for our understanding that moved in that spot of understanding that moved from the wisdom that we received, which was the hermit reverse. This is our wisdom. Keep your head up. We move into here with the king of discs. Went in a different direction. The king of discs. Now let me show it to you upright. This is upright. It's a gorgeous card. Beautiful king. Physically attractive king, but also a beautifully drawn card. And here we have what? We have this king with a disc above their head, with a shield shaped as a disc, standing on a disc on the ground. Do you see all those discs there? 3 different realms, right? The heavenly realm, the present realm, the earthly realm, and then the realm of the underworld, all represented here. And you see at the bottom that the king of discs points to Taurus, which is the domicile of Venus, from which these fixed earth vital attributes enter our world. So we had 2 spots of very fiery energy, upright energy with Aries and Sagittarius, and then a reversed Leo energy with the Hermit. Here we move into the Earth. But we had a little bit of Earth with Mars and Capricorn in Kether, right? But here we've got Venus in Taurus. Very happy, all when it's upright. Powerful. Progress. Enjoyment. But here we go, moving in reverse. Which kind of makes sense coming from that warning card of the Hermit reversed. This card tells us that we might lose track of our relational values and demand more than we have the right to ask. We might start getting reactive, right? In that Hermit reversed card. And one way that we might become reactive is that, okay, I've been successful. I have been the forerunner of this success, and so I deserve. And we could become demanding of others, right? I am the leader, I am the successful one, so you must obey and serve me. We might do it consciously, we might behave such unconsciously as well. Just something to keep our eyes open for. We might resent time spent with other people away from our business because our business has been so successful recently. We might end up crushing everyone, even when those everyone's are people we think that we love. It's like Midas. Midas was successful, right? Midas had the golden touch, and everything that Midas touched was gold. And so that success, all these riches caused Midas to turn into a monster. All of that success caused Midas to become a destructive person, and eventually Midas killed everyone around him by turning them into a metal. And we might not go that far, but still, we might inadvertently start crushing the people around us with our success. Because we are indulging our impulses without questioning. Because, well, we're successful now. I can do whatever the F I want. Now, this is the alchemy linked to the unquenchable thirst. We get a taste of success, and now I want more, and I want more, and I want more. And wanting more is fine. No, don't want to go there. Yeah? We don't want to say, oh, I got a little success. I'm fine, I'm cool. I will not move a step forward. Wanting more is human, it's natural, it's good. But, yes, this is wonderful. I want more. Or, yes, this is wonderful. I want more. They're very different things, right? Yes, I want more. I want more for myself. I want more for those around me. I want more for the ones I love. I want more for the ones I don't love, or that I think I don't love, because we love everybody, but the ones that I think I don't love, because I know that if they get more good in their lives, they will improve, and then they will be so much more lovable. Or I want more because I want to take it from everybody else. I want more because I want to prove how much better I am than everybody else. They're very different things. And so there's the danger of our success triggering that unquenchable thirst of the self-feeding monster. Perhaps Jabba the Hutt, if that's a reference that means anything to you. So that's the end. That is the message from this first triangle: success, but be careful. Success can also lead to downfalls. And one downfall might be hubris, yes, but it doesn't necessarily need to be hubris. It could be that our success opens the door for other monsters to come out from hiding. Right? And the hubris isn't the only monster that lives down there. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. Having those monsters come out is beneficial. Can you imagine how that it could be beneficial? Because if we can see them, we can heal them. Because in healing them, a jewel will be revealed. a jewel that will help us open even more fully to the powerful stream, of the powerful current of our intention and our collective intention. Because remember, this is a collective journey. And it started off in Kether with this collective journey, right? Does that make sense? I hope it does. It makes sense to me. So, if it does make sense, let me know in the comments below. Now, we're not ending the video yet. I'd just like to hear, does that make sense? So friends, this was the supernal triangle. This is what is moving into manifestation for us now, in the coming week. And perhaps giving a little bit of a heads up of potential pitfalls. If we can avoid those pitfalls, we can find the path of success, of living our intentional lives. And friends, we're going to move now into the first downward pointing triangle, the allergies. My allergies are causing post-nasal drip, and so please forgive me if my voice suddenly goes out for a little bit. Yes, we're going into this downward facing triangle, which is the ethical triangle or the emotional triangle, and here we go. Here it is. Friends, just in case you were wondering about that fourth card in the last segment, I didn't forget about it. I'm not going to read that card until we read the entire spread in the lightning path down. Yeah? So, we're moving on now to the ethical triangle or the emotional triangle, which starts in the upper right with chesed, and then moves to gevra in the upper left, down to the middle center with tiferet. And in Hesed, we had the 5 of dot. In this deck, it's called, not dot, the 5 of dead, not dead, but D-E-D, dead, which is the 5 of staves or the 5 of wands. And then in Gevra, we had the 6 of Hesed, which is the 6 of cups in this deck. And then in the lower center in Tiferet, we had the Queen of Discs, which is the Queen of Coins, Queen of Pentacles, pick your flavor. So we started off with the 5 of debt, not dot, debt. Here, pip deck, we got, what, do these look like pawns to you? Like chess pawns? They look like chess pawns to me. But these are supposed to be wands, staves, as it were. And this is in Hesed. What is Hesed? Hesed, this is the center of the father pillar, the pillar of mercy. And this is really where the heart of mercy exists. At the top of the pillar of mercy is understanding. Is wisdom, Here in the center, this is really the heart of that pillar, which is loving kindness, mercy. It's also eager and ardent desire to either move towards or to push away. Cosmic laws come into being in this in this Sephirah as well. Cosmic laws like truth, love, goodness, peace, fairness, all of those wonderful large concepts that we have that are intangible but still make life worth living, right? Those archetypes, those ideas of creation, those archetypal ideas of creation, to be speaking in more English phrases. And so in that spot, in that loving kindness spot, how can we be more lovingly kind? How can we express our ardent desire? What cosmic law is expressed here? In this spot we had the 5 of wands, which is associated with the Sagittarius decadent of Leo. We had the Sagittarius decadent of Aries up in the top, right? In Kether, here we have the Sagittarius decadent of Leo and its subruler Jupiter. Again, Jupiter. From which the mutable aspect of fixed fire's vital attributes enter our world. Also a good thing, 3 up there, 5 down here. And because this is the the second decadent of the of Leo, We have and it's upright. We have a complement, which is the sun in Capricorn again. Yeah, the Capricorn twice is once in an exaltation with Mars in Capricorn. Here with the complement with the sun in Capricorn, we have this Capricorn energy of moving in the direction of success, moving up the hill, working collectively, but collectively to move higher personally. Fired by both Mars and here the sun. So what do we have here? According to the guidebooks, we have good fortune in business. We have reformation of ways of acting and working in the world. Our social activities could benefit our jobs. We had social activity in the 3, right? We had the teamwork. Here we have perhaps a broader social activity benefiting our job, but the work that we do in the world. Whatever that is, it doesn't necessarily have to be a job. Gain through speculation. We could gain from taking some risks. We've got Jupiter there. We got some good luck at our back. Success and insights into our business as well. Now we'll be able to understand what it is we're doing in the world. We could get goodwill from other people as well. We're not only supported by our social activity, but we have beneficent, gosh, the pronunciation of that word is not coming out. Beneficent. Now that the word's out, what did I want to say? There's a beneficent attitude towards us by those we're interacting with. Whether they're customers or clients or friends, we're supported. We could be impulsive, but that impulsiveness could pay off in what we're doing. So we want to have faith in ourselves, faith in our superiors as well in this card. Now, there's also something in the guidebook. I'm using not the guidebook for this deck particularly, because the guidebook for this deck particularly is really, really, really ass poor when it comes to the minor cards. What it says in the guidebook is to add the numbers, and if it's a positive, if it's an even number, it's good. If it's an odd number, it's bad. Has nothing to do with element or suit or any. So I'm using the guidebook for the deck that is below this for this deck, because they're essentially from a similar tradition within the continental system of tarot. So in the deck, the guidebook that I'm using for this, which is Sacred Tarot by C.C. Zane, by the way, it also, no. This is the guidebook that is associated with the C.C. Zane book. And I'll put a link in the comments below for that book if you're interested. So in that guidebook, it says theatrical success. Just thought it was interesting, and that one interesting bit took us down a rabbit hole that I don't think was helpful. But anyway, so here we are. Goodwill of those around us, support from those around us, the people we're working with, our clients, our customers. We got goodwill, we got Jupiter, we got good luck. Gain through our speculations, reformation of the way that we're working, which is perhaps Sun in Capricorn. Good fortune in what we're doing. The sun is beaming its light on Capricorn, and Capricorn can see perhaps very well the path forward, if that makes sense. And so this is how we can be lovingly kind in the universe, and the loving kindness that we can receive. This is the truth and the love and the goodness that is manifesting in the world. The archetypal ideas of creation are around the goodwill and fortune in what the activities that we're doing, which is an echo again of that 3 of Wands card up there in Kether. If right. And so we flow into the partner of Hesed, which is Gevra. And we can think of Hesed and Gevra as the right and left hands of the tree of life. This is where the clay begins to be molded into form. One hand giving us the loving kindness action on the clay of manifestation, Gevra giving us the judgment and limitation hand of the formation of manifestation. And we want those. I mean, they seem like very negative things to many people, judgment and limitation, but they aren't necessarily negative. Without our limitations, without cutting away and giving shape. Think of a sculptor presented with a large mass of some stone like granite or marble or something. And if that sculptor did not carve away at that stone, we would just be left with this stone and imagination. But it's the judgment, the cutting away, the clearing away of excess, of the unnecessary, that reveals the beauty within. And that's one role that Gevurah can also play. And it also puts motion to the ideas that we receive from Chesed. Though love, truth, goodness, peace, fairness are wonderful, and they're very, very intangible. Gevurah can put motion to those ideas, to bring them closer to reality. Yeah? We have all of that, and in all of that we had this card, the Six of Cups, which is an interesting thing. Now, typically, the Sephirah of Chesed is the fourth. The Sephirah of Gevurah is the fifth. There is a blank spot where I had that one oracle card that we didn't read, which is called Dot. We'll look at that later. But if you were to put a number on that spot that is empty, that is the void, if we were to number that, many people would argue you cannot do that. But if we were to do that, then spot 4 would actually be spot 5 with the 5 of Wands, and spot 5 would actually be spot 6 with the 6 of Hesed. You see where I'm going with this? So these cards and these spots, I think, are in this flow are significant. I think that numerical flow is also significant. And so we get to the 6 of Cups here, 6 of Hesed, and the 6 of Cups in this deck points to the Cancer decadent of Scorpio. So we've got water here. On one side we have the fire, and a very good match of water. Fire on the father's side, water on the mother's side. That makes sense too, right? We're at the center of the pillar of severity, and in the heart of that severity we have judgment and limitation, and that we have here as the Cancer decadent of Scorpio. And it's sub-ruler of the moon, from which these cardinal aspect of fixed waters, vital attributes, enter the world. Now we had the Sagittarius in Leo was the mutable aspect of fixed fire. Here we have the cardinal aspect of fixed water. And full disclosure, I am Leo, Sun, I am Scorpio rising, and so both of these cards speak to me specifically as well. But so here we have again the Cancer decadent of Scorpio and the sub-ruler the moon. But because this is the third decadent of Scorpio, the third decadent of Scorpio, we also have an exaltation of Mars in Capricorn again. Now we have Mars is in two spots in the antique traditional astrology, Hellenistic astrology, right? 7 visible lights in the sky. And so Mars is in 2 places. It's in Scorpio and it is in Aries. In Aries, it's the fresh newbie Mars in Aries, and in Scorpio, it's the mature Mars in Scorpio. So that mature Mars still has the same exaltation in Capricorn. So here we have Mars in Capricorn again, which is interesting. And what does this point to? Well, the guidebook points to some things that I think are a little bit odd. A love affair. So be careful. Don't put your put your crotch where you don't think it belongs, okay? So if it's a good love affair, it's great. If it's a bad one, if it's one that's unhelpful, caution. But there are beneficial partnerships available to us here. Yeah? We can find a revival of our will through affairs of the heart. Our willpower can be revived here, which is good because we've had some periods of perhaps some downtime in our caves. So our willpower being revived is a beneficial thing here in Gevurah. Attainment is possible here. Personal magnetism. We can draw things to us as we move forward with our powerful current of intention. We can utilize our creative imaginations as well. Now, Cancers are very creative and imaginative. So are Scorpios. Just saying. So our constructive activity can overcome our wallowing in water. Yeah? Fertility of our ideas is going to bring us forward as well. We're resourceful here. And our resourcefulness will bring harmony to our home, Cancer. But we want to be aware of some things here. We want to be aware of, and this is from the book, beware of dark temptations. Check your hunches. Carefully analyze your emotions. And that is a good advice, reflecting from that upside down, that reversed hermit and that reversed, what was that card? The reversed King of Discs above, which gave us those warning signs, right? Those warning signs are echoed in this card as well. Check your hunches. Check what you're doing. Beware of the dark temptations which can raise their ugly heads in the midst of success. So this is where we get our judgment and limitations in this watery side of the tree of life. In the water signs. Now, our interrelationships are going to be beneficial for us, but be careful that we don't allow the monster to swim up from the depths without being aware of it. If we're aware of it, it's cool. If it swims up, we're aware of it, we can do something and heal it before it starts attacking things. Right? Before that kraken gets out onto land and starts going after Andromeda, we can rein it in and look at it and say, look, you're a sweet puppy in there somewhere. Let's find that sweet puppy that became this. Or the sweet kitty or whatever your animal is. Your sweet magpie. Okay, moving on. So we move from Gevurah into Tiferet. And Tiferet is the heart of the tree of life. It is beauty, it's glory. This is where energy is received and force is moved into form. And also, when energy returns back up the tree of life, form is returned back into force. Yeah, matter becomes energy. Energy becomes the beginnings of matter. That's like energy becoming atoms and atoms becoming energy. Now, those atoms haven't coalesced into actual forms like they would in Malkut, but still, energy is becoming more material here as we move down into the lower parts of the tree of life. Here, creation flows forth. And this Sephirah is connected to every one of the other Sephirah in the tree of life. All of the Sephiroth are connected into Tiferet. And here we get an echo of a royal disc, right? The royal disc of the Queen of Discs. We have the King of Discs reversed up in Binah. Here in Tiferet, connected to Binah, connected to that reversed king, we have the Queen of Discs. Right? And the Queen of Discs is my mom. I'm sorry. The Queen of Discs points to Virgo. My mom's sun sign is Virgo. The Queen of Discs points to Virgo, which is the domicile of Mercury, from which these mutable Earth's vital attributes enter our world. So finally, we've got a positive Earth moving us forward. We had some positive fire, we had a little bit of positive water. Here we've got earth repositivized. Anyways, so in the guidebook for this deck in particular, not for the one that I'm basing the rest of my readings on, but for this deck in particular, it gives us some attributes for the major arcana and for the court cards only. And for the Queen of Discs, it points to some pretty negative stuff, even though it's upright. It points to losses, to disappointing enterprises. But okay, you'll better luck next time. There will be better luck next time, but this time you're gonna fail. And I don't think that's the direction we want to move with in this card. I just want to say that that's what the guidebook to this deck is saying, and I think there are other ways to read this card. You'll also notice, I don't know if you did notice, but here, down in the, basically on the wall behind the Queen, there is a hieroglyph, there are hieroglyphs with, in English at the bottom, Nefertiti. Nefertiti. Who is Nefertiti? Do you know? Nefertiti was a very radical, instigated a radical overhaul of state and religion during her reign. Now, she was one of the first to promote monotheism for Egypt. It was short-lived. After she died, it disappeared again and was actually very actively suppressed. But she actively supported new theology, new forms of governmental systems. She's a powerful lady. Beautiful, powerful lady. There are a couple of other female pharaohs, Cleopatra included, who were very powerful pharaohs. In this Queen of Cups, we have Nefertiti. And she points in other guidebooks to intense mental activity. Yeah, you know how Virgos are very mentally active around their earthiness, right? They're not fixed earth, they are mutable earth, and they think about things, and they organize things, and they put things in boxes, and they make sure that everything's perfect, right? So intense mental activity around what we're doing and how we are acting in the world and how things are in the world. They love to deal with facts rather than theories. They're practical. They're studious, scientific, mentally alert, and never satisfied until he, she, or they know how the desired results can be obtained. Never satisfied until they know how to do what they want to do. But they are careful and they are serious. And they're a little bit competitive. They approach everything knowing that it's going to take time. And they can place things in their proper order. A place for everything, and everything has a place. Or they get rid of it. Well, not exactly that. My mom's a hoarder, so I don't know about that so much. But they do, there's a place for everything, even if it's a junk drawer, I suppose. Although there's an embarrassment about junk drawers as well, so drunk drawers, that's another topic entirely. So Virgos are severely discriminative, they're inclined to be critical, and they're apt to judge with severity, so they would benefit from learning to be accepting, which is what I think we would want in the heart center of the Tree of Life. So here we join our fire of the Five of Wands and good fortune in business and reformation, and our Six of Cups and our creative imagination and our connection with other people and attainment, and our passion being fueled by our water of relationship. Here those join and merge into an earthiness of mental activity. Being discriminating, discerning, figuring stuff out, finding the organization, finding the path, figuring out the way to move forward, and enjoying that process of figuring things out and discerning and discriminating. Discriminating not like or racial discrimination, but discriminating between there's this thing and then there's this thing, and these two things are different in these different ways, and so this thing will be put over here and this thing will be put over here, and that kind of discrimination. Discrimination of things wanted and things unwanted, things that belong on this side and things that belong on this side. And there's a very beneficial aspect to being discriminating. Not to discriminate against, but to discriminate between. This is what belongs in my love life. This is what belongs in my work life. This is what belongs in my play life. And there might be some crossover, but that makes sense, right? So this is how we join the heart. And this is where this energy of success can move into manifestation without going into the dark, without allowing that dark creature to rear its aggressive and dangerous head. So here we are at the end of this second triangle, and we're at the end of part 1 of this video. So what are we going to do? In just a moment, you'll see a short video that gives you the names of the decks and the names of the creators, so stick around for that. I'll put a card up here for you to hop over to part 2 so you can see that if you want right now, or you can wait and come back, and there will also be a link below to part 2. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel. It helps grow the channel. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. And comment below. I would love to hear from you. I would really love to hear from you. And if you want a reading from me, my email address is below. thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. We'll get you a reading. Any kind of reading you want. Zoom, video, photo and typed out reading, whatever you want. RWS, Smith-Waite, Continental System Tarot, Marseille, your choice. So email me. I'll read for you. I love to read for you. And also, friends, thank you. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.